Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of Bootstrap 5.3 tutorial series, Layout. And let me share my screen with you. So this episode contains containers, breakpoints, grid, columns, and gutters. First of all, we'll discuss about containers. Containers are fundamental building blocks that contain, pad, and align your content within a device or viewport. Now let's go to our code editor. For this series, we will be using Visual Studio Code as our code editor. And if you need to learn about VS Code, you can watch my VS based series and find the links in the description below. If you have been following along, we have this intro.html, and I have also copied this snippets.json, and I'll explain this in a little bit. So let's copy our intro, and I am going to rename it as layout. And let's clean this a bit. Let's get rid of all of these and hit save, and let's go to our live server. Alright, so here we have our demo, and what I'm gonna do is let's rename our title. I'm gonna make this VS Bootstrap dash layout. Alright, so now I am going to add here a footer, or let's just copy the footer and paste in here. It adds. Alright, so that's how our page looks like so far. And let's keep VS Code and browser side by side so we can watch them a little better. Alright, that alright, so that's how our layout.html looks. And let me resize this a little more. That looks better now. Alright, so let's get back to our topic, and now let's talk about containers. So containers are fundamental building blocks that contain, pad, and align your content within a given device or viewport. So we have got three different containers: default, fluid, and responsive. So let me show you some example, and let's type in here container. So let me add some heading, and I have this snippets file here. So this is basically EMMET abbreviation. So you just need to type in here this abbreviation HD, and this will render you with this. I think I should increase the font size. Font size is already 20. I guess that is better. Let me close that. Alright, so you just need to let me show you what these snippets do. And it's not working right now because I haven't added this to our settings.json. So let's open settings for workspace, and that creates a new file for you. As well as let's open settings, default settings, and let's copy here from here. Let me maximize it for now. Alright, let's find in here EMMET.extensions path. So we'll need these settings to work, and let's get back into our own settings.json and paste that, and here we just need to add this period followed by / hit save, and let's check that if our snippet is working. Type in your HD, and this abbreviation provides us with this line of code. Hit enter, and now you can type in here say containers. Hit save, and that's how our let me resize it again. Alright, so that's how our page looks. Let me remove this for now. Alright, that looks better, and I am also going to remove this HR. That's a container, and you don't see anything here right now. Let me add a paragraph here, and inside a paragraph let's add some random lorem text. Hit save, and now you notice that this container class adds some padding and margin to either sides. So for better results, let's add some color to our container. bg-info, or say success. Hit save. Alright, so now if you notice that we have a container, and this container contains all of your content of your application or the front end, and this default container changes its max width at each breakpoint. And let me show you what breakpoint is, and let me share the image with you. Breakpoints are customizable widths that determine how your responsive layout behaves across devices or viewports. These are the breakpoints, which is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different breakpoints for various dimensions. Say if you have a screen size which is greater than 576 pixels, this is considered as extra small. So medium, greater than or equals to 768 pixels. Extra large is equals to or greater than 1400 pixels. How it works, let me show you the container table as well. Okay, and this table illustrates how each container's max width compares to the original container and container fluid across breakpoint. Meaning if you are using this class, so for extra small screens, the width of this container will be 100% wide, and if your application is accessed by some medium device, large or extra large, so these are the maximum widths that this container will have. So let me give an example for this. Let me turn on our browser as well, and if I right click here and open our DevTools, and let me undock the DevTool for now. And if you need to learn more about this Chrome DevTools, you can watch my DevTool based series and find the links in the description below. Now let's click on this container element and this computed tab. Now this is the width of your container, which is also highlighted here if you hover over your mouse here, and this is the size for. Let's turn on this device mode as well. Now you can simulate various screen sizes. This is for small, this is for medium, this is for large, and this is for extra large. Let's click on this container element, and let me turn on my calculator. Alright, now this is the width of your container, and that is 696, and let's add in here 12 pixels padding to either sides, which is 24. That is 720 pixels, which is exactly mentioned here in the table which I showed you earlier. Let me show you that. So say if you have a screen size which is equals to or greater than 768 pixels, the width of the container would be 720 pixels. So that's how this works. And here we have various responsive classes, and then we have this container fluid, which is always 100% wide throughout the screen sizes. Now let me show you another container. So let's add some heading here, and type in here container float, and let's add dot container dash float, or say let's copy this from here and paste that in here, and let's remove it and let's add in here dash float, and I'm going to change the color of this for now. Info, hit save. Now if you notice that this container is 100% white for all the screen sizes, whereas this default container changes its max width for each screen size, and you can use it for a full width container spanning the entire width of all viewports. Now we have got responsive containers. Responsive containers allow you to specify a class that is 100% wide, which I showed you right here. These are responsive containers. These containers allow you to specify a class that is 100% wide until the specified breakpoint is reached, after which it applies max widths for each of the higher breakpoints. Let me show you what I mean. So now I am going to add in here, let's bring up our browser. Alright, and then I am going to add in here another heading, responsive containers, and for that I am going to have various containers here. Say let's copy this container, okay, and let's paste that container here and add here responsive class. Hit dash sm, hit save, and this is for smaller screen sizes, and let's have a couple of them. I am going to make a copy. We have another container which is medium, and then we have another container which is LG for large. It's safe. Let me change the color of these containers. Say this can be info, and also the content of this is going to be container small, and this is going to be container medium, and this will be container large. Hit save. Alright, or let me close the DevTools for now. That is great, and I am also going to add some more containers that is large, and we have, say I am going to make various copies here, large, then we have XL and double XL. Let's make this one XL and change the color of it, info, and this will be double XL. Hit save. So these are the containers, responsive containers that we have. Now let's talk about how you can customize Bootstrap. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's add a container here which is right here. Let's copy this first container and go all the way here, and let's type in here, say HD customization. Alright, hit save, and I am going to delete this paragraph from here. Hit save. Alright, so as I told you earlier that if you right click and inspect this element and click on this computer tab, so this is the width of this container, which is almost 720 pixels. If you want this container to be as wide as 500 pixels, here comes customization, and you can customize the width of this container. And there are two preferred methods: using Bootstrap via package manager and using Bootstrap's compiled distribution files. And we'll stick with the first method, that is package manager. Now let's turn off this, and I am going to maximize our browser, and let's go to the documentation, and here download, and this section package managers, and we'll be using Node package manager. To make this work, you will need, let me open Node.js. You will need this Node.js installed on your machine. If you want to learn more about Node.js, you can watch my Node.js based series and find the link in the description below. So to make this work, what you will need is, let's open our browser. Let's right click here and open this in our file explorer, and here what you will need to do is just open command prompt. So just type in here npm and wait for a couple of moments, so it will respond to you, and here it is. So if you notice that it responds you with npm 8.19, this is the version that I am using right now. It means that you have installed Node.js successfully. Now let's get back to the documentation and copy this line of code from here and paste it in our command prompt and hit enter. Now after that, let's get back to our VS Code, and notice that it has created, let me bring up our command prompt window. So it has successfully installed two packages. Alright, now it has created node_modules as well as these couple of files, package-log.json and package.json. Now let me show you what we have inside this directory. So we have hopper.js and Bootstrap, we have dist.js. Here in this folder we have CSS of Bootstrap, which is bootstrap.min.css. Now it is not recommended to touch this file, whereas what you can do is, here comes SASS. Let me create a folder here and name this SCSS. Alright, and inside this folder I'm going to create a file named main.scss, and .scss is the file extension of SASS. If you need to learn more about SASS, you can watch my SASS web series and find the link in the description below. And now what you need to do is, you will need to, let's open this node modules bootstrap SCSS folder, and now you will need to import this bootstrap file here in your main SASS with @import, and type in here period node modules bootstrap SCSS and bootstrap.scss. It's safe. Now nothing happens because to make this SCSS work, you will need to install this watch SASS extension. Let me show you. Watch SASS, and this is the extension. What this extension does is actually compiles your SAS files to normal CSS files. Let me show you what I mean. So if you successfully install this extension, then click on this watch SAS button, and now notice that it will create a folder. Sorry, let me delete these files for now, and we will need some settings here first. So let's type in here default, and let's find here live SAS, and copy these settings for now. Live SAS settings, generate map, and settings formats. Let's copy these settings from here and paste into your own settings and hit save. You can create this will be the folder. By the way, if you need to learn more about these settings, you can watch my VS Base series and find the link in the description below. This extension make files expanded or compressed. So in our case, I'm going to add in here compressed, and the extension would be .min.css, and the path would be CSS followed by /, and let's remove this save path replacement pairs for now. Alright, and we also do not need to generate map, so let's make this false. Hit save. Now let's get back to our main.scss, and let's turn this watch SAS back on. Now if you notice that it created CSS folder as well as main.min.css. So this is the file that you will need to link in our layout. Let's come in here, and for now I'm going to comment this out, hit save, and get back to our browser, and let's resize it. Alright, for now I am also going to close this to make some more room. And alright, as we have commented out this link for CSS, Bootstrap CSS, our styling is broken. Now to make this work, what we need to do, just link here the file that we have just created by our extension, which is this one. Let's right click, copy relative path, and or you can also add the file here manually, main.min.css. Hit save, and now our styling is back again. Now we do not need this link. Let's remove it and go all the way down. Now I am also going to add our local JavaScript provided by Bootstrap, node modules, Bootstrap dist, JS, and bootstrap.min.js. Okay, and I am going to add that. First try to comment this out, and let's add in here script tag, and give the path of our bootstrap.bundle.min.js. Alright, so let's go to node modules, Bootstrap, dist.js bootstrap.bundle.min.js. Alright, hit save, and for safe side, let's copy any code which is based on JavaScript, say this accordion, and let's copy this accordion from here and paste in here. Hit save and see if it's working. Alright, so the JavaScript we have just provided is also working, and we have successfully installed Bootstrap locally in our source folder. So we don't need this script anymore. Let me remove it, hit save, and make sure that everything is working fine. Now let's go ahead. So let's get back to our main topic, to customization. Now if you need to change the width of this container, say 500 pixels, what you can do, just get back here and type in here container, and almost after every container, at the end of the every component, there is a CSS section where you can find these variables or maps to customize your Bootstrap. Or say if you want to customize the width of your container for medium device, what you can do is just come in here and copy this line of code and get back to our code editor, and let's close this and this file as well, and open our main.scss. And always remember that you add the customization before import. So let's paste the code here, and let's remove everything except the medium device. Alright, so this is mentioned here 720, let's make it 500, hit save, and now our SASS extension has created the file. And if you get back to our let me resize it. Alright, so now if you see the size of your container, and that is now almost 500. Let me get the calculator. The width of the container is 476. 76, add 24 pixels for padding, and that is 500, which is exactly what you want. So that's how you can customize Bootstrap, and these variables you can find after almost any component. Say if you want to make changes or if you want to customize the accordion, go to the CSS section and you can find ton of variables here that you can change. Say accordion padding Y, accordion padding X. With these variables you can customize Bootstrap. So now let's bring up our page, and I'm going to resize it. Alright, and let me turn off this extension for now, because, or let's remove, or I am going to keep this for you, and I'm gonna type in here to customize Bootstrap, and let's comment this out, and let's turn on our watch SASS, hit save. And now notice that we have removed this customization and it restores the settings. Now let's talk about layout, and for layout we'll discuss grid system. You can use Bootstrap's powerful mobile first flexbox grid to build layouts of all shapes and sizes. The grid includes containers, rows, and columns to lay out and align content. Each row is divided into 12 columns. Let me give an example. Let's close this main.scss, and I'm also going to turn off this extension and the panel as well, and let's come back in here and type say HD and layout. Hit save. Let's type in here container followed by I'm going to add in here a row, and inside row let's have dot col. And by the way, this is the syntax of EMMET abbreviation. If you need to learn more about that, actually make your coding faster. So if you want to learn more about EMMET, you can watch my EMMET by series and find the link in the description below. Let's type in here some content. So column followed by dollar, that represents the number of copies, and I am going to make say 12 copies, and let's have to one for you. I'm gonna leave this for you. You can practice with this line of code. And so this line of code renders these elements. Hit save and see that we have 12 columns. That is not inside row. So let's undo that, and let's add in here okay, and let's make a copy, uncomment. Alright, so hit save, and now we have got 12 columns. Let me close this DevTool for now. Alright, and let's maximize our screen. So these are the columns that we have. For better illustration, let's add some styling to our to this element. Let's turn on main.scss, and I'm going to add in here some styling. Let's have dot row and div square bracket class star equals to within quotes. I'm gonna add in here say call, and let's define some styling. Background color would be hash 9FDEEF and I'm also going to add some border here, say 0.1 RAM solid blue. Alright, sorry, blue. And let's turn our watch SASS extension. Let's save the file and see the results here. Alright, so now you can see these columns a bit better. Let me increase the size. Now let me explain you what's happening here. We have 12 columns having equal width. These rows are wrappers for columns, and these call classes indicate the template columns and carry default padding. These are 12 template columns available per row, allowing you to create different combinations of elements that span any number of columns that add up to 12. Now let's talk about sizing. Let me resize our browser. Alright, and zoom out. Fine. So let me close the panel, and now let's talk about the column sizing. I'm going to add in here some heading, column sizing. sizing. Hit save. Now say if you want to resize your columns, say let's add a couple of columns here. So I already have a container. Let's cut that and let's paste that here, and let's type container and let's comment this out. And alright, now I will remember that this is the ending of the container. Okay, so now let's add in here a couple of columns. Dot row. Inside a row I am going to have a couple of columns. Dot col with some content, column followed by number of columns, and let's have 3 columns. All right, okay, and I am going to have 2 copies. Sorry, comment this out, and let's add greater than sign here, and let's duplicate it, comment this out. All right, save. Now say if you want this first column as, let me add some padding here as well. P-3. We'll discuss all of these URL classes in upcoming episode. Hit save. Say let me increase the size. Alright, now say if you want this column as wide as 5 columns, what you can do is just come in here and type in here 5. Hit save, and this column is as wide as 5 columns. Sorry, I reduced the size of our editor. All right, your first column is as wide as these 5 columns, or if you want this second column to be as wide as 1, 2, 3 and 4 columns, I mean up to 9 columns, what you can do, just come in here and type -4. Hit save. That's how you can resize your columns. And now let's add in here, and now let's add let's discuss COL-AUTO. And let me add some columns. Say copy these from here and paste it in here, and right now I am going to say remove this. All right, let's clean it a bit. Hit save, and let's have some random lorem text here. Hit 5 and save. Or let's add let me resize it a little more. Let me zoom it in. All right, that looks little fine now. Say now if you want this column as wide as the content of your column, if I go back to 100%, let's add some more lorem text here. Lorem 5. All right, and save. So now that wraps that column wraps the text. Now if you want this column as wide as the text of this column or content of this column, what you can do is just come in here and type COL-AUTO. Hit save. So that's how you can make your columns as wide as the content. Now let's talk about how you can make responsive containers. So let's add some heading here, responsive containers. Hit save. The grid also supports the 6 responsive breakpoints. It means you can control column sizing and behavior by each breakpoint, and if you want your grid starts out stacked vertically and gets horizontal at any particular device, let's add some columns. Let me copy this row from here and paste that in here, and I am going to remove this for now. Hit save, and let's turn on the DEVTOOLS and simulate the device mode. Alright, so if you notice that the layout of your application is same for all of the screen sizes, whether large or small. Now for example, if you want your application starts out stacked and gets horizontal on larger devices, what you can do is just come in here and type say SM. Hit save, and now if I click here on smaller devices, your page starts out as stacked, and for larger screen devices it gets horizontal. Now if you don't want your columns to simply stack in some grid tiers, use a combination of different classes for each tier as needed. Let me show you what I mean by that. Now let's have another heading, say mix and match 01. Hit save, and let's add in here dot row followed by, or let's copy this row from here and paste that in here. Okay, I don't need this third one. Let's remove it, and for now I am going to remove, say you can have -4, or you can have one column as wide as 4 and the other column as wide as 8. That adds up to 12. Hit save. So this is the layout right now for all the screen sizes. Alright, what you can do is you can add in here responsive class, say MD-4N8. Hit save. Now this is the layout for medium and larger devices, whereas it gets stacked for smaller devices. Let me give you another example. Let's have a copy of these lines of code, and I am going to call this, say 02, and let's add another column. And what I'm gonna do here is let's change this, let's make it COL-6. Hit save. Now this is the layout for all the screen sizes. Alright, but if you want all of these columns to share equal width for medium and larger devices, what you can do is just come in here and type in here col-md-4. Hit save. Now as you notice that for medium and larger devices, it gets horizontal, whereas for smaller devices it keeps the layout as you mentioned here. 50% space is shared by each column. Now if you don't want to size your columns individually, you can make things a bit easier for you by using row calls classes to quickly set the number of columns that best render your content and layout. Let me show you an example. Add some heading for you, say row dash calls, and after that I'm going to have, say, row. Inside row, let's have a couple of columns dot col with some lorem text, say 3, and let's have 4 copies. Alright, let's have 2 copies, one for you, one for me. So that's what we have right now, and let me resize our browser. Alright, or let me close the DevTools for now. If you want 2 columns in a row, come at the row level and add in here row dash calls dash 2. This number is representing the number of columns you will have in each row. Say right now you have 4 columns in a row because you haven't added any numbered call classes. That's why the space is shared, equally shared by each of the columns. So if I hit save, now we have 2 columns in a row. Whereas you can also use numbered classes with these columns. Say if you want this third column as wide as 8 columns, what you can do is just come in here and type in here 8, hit save, and there you go. You can also make use of responsive classes with row columns. Say let's add in here heading and row calls responsive, and let me add some room here. Alright, now I'm going to have a row, or let's copy these guys from here and paste that in here. Alright, say let's remove it, clean this a bit, and so that's what we have right now. We haven't mentioned any numbered class on columns. So what you can do is, say if you want this layout for default screen sizes and for medium and higher screen sizes, you want to have 3 columns in a row, what you can do is just come in here, let's copy this class from here, paste, and row calls dash md and make this 3. Hit save, and let me maximize it, and let's turn on our DevTools. Alright, so now for let's type in here 3, hit save, and now for medium and higher screen sizes, 3 columns in a row, whereas for the smaller screen sizes we have 2 columns in a row. And you can also make use of row calls auto to make your columns as wide as the content of your columns. Say let's get back to our editor and let's have a copy of it. Row calls, let's type in here row calls dash auto and see what we have right now. Let me resize it. Okay, and let's save it. Let's make this medium screen size. What we can do here is let's add in here row dash calls dash auto. Hit save, and now that renders your columns as wide as the content. Say if you want to keep this layout for larger screen sizes, but if you want 2 columns in a row for smaller screen sizes, what you can do is just come in here, copy and paste in there, and let's add row calls, say 2, and for medium and higher devices let's add row calls md-auto. Hit save. So for medium and higher devices, you have columns as wide as their contents, but for smaller devices, you have 2 columns in a row. You can also nest your columns inside any column. Let me give you an example. Alright, so let's have a heading here, HD nesting. That HD is short for heading, as I have added a snippet here. And let's make this larger. Okay, and here I'm gonna add a row, and inside the row let's have a couple of columns dot col, say SM, short for small screen sizes, and let's have size it 3, and inside each column let's have lorem, and let's have 2 copies of each column. Alright, let's comment this out and see what we have right now. So what we have is, we have 2 columns. I am going to make our second column as wide as 9, and let's come in here and add in here, or let's start our nesting here. So I am going to have another row inside this column, or inside our second column. Let's have a couple of columns here, dot col followed by -8, and let's have col dash lg dash 6, meaning that the default is 8, and for larger and larger devices it will be 6. And then I am going to have some lorem text, say 2, and let's have 2 copies. Let's comment this out. Alright, and what I'm gonna do is, say let's make this 4, so it does not go out of our template columns. It starts out as a start, meaning for smaller screen sizes it will be stocked, and for medium and larger screen sizes it changes its layout. Hit save. Alright, so this is for medium and this is for smaller. Now we have 2 columns stocked, and inside our second column we have 2 more columns, and we have this first column as wide as, let me add here, nested 1, and let's type in here nested 2. Hit save. Alright, so these 2 columns are nested columns. For smaller screen sizes, this first nested column is as wide as 8 columns, and the second column is as wide as 4 columns. And for large screen sizes, these nested columns share the equal width, and our parent columns are as wide as mentioned here. So that's how you can nest your columns inside any of the column. Now let's talk about alignment. You can modify columns with a handful of options for alignment, ordering, and offsetting. There are 2 types of alignments: horizontal alignment and vertical alignment. First we'll discuss about horizontal alignment. So let's get back to VS Code, and here I am going to add some heading, say horizontal alignment. Let me correct the spelling, NT. Save. Alright, and I am also going to add a couple of columns here, say row. Inside row I'm gonna have a couple of columns, dot col dash 2, and there will be some content as well. One of the 3 columns. Alright, and let's have say 3 copies, and one for you, one for me. Hit save, and this is what we have right now. So let's talk about how you can align this to the end, center, or to the start, because in layouting we don't have left or right, we always have a start and end or the center. So if you want to send these columns to the end, just come in here and type in here justify content dash end. It's save, and that sends your columns to the end. And let's make a copy of it, and let's type in here. I'm gonna add in here say center. Hit save, and let's also add margin bottom say 3. We'll also discuss these utility classes in our utility classes episode. Hit save. This class adds margin at the bottom. Alright, and let's have another instance. Hit save, and if you want to send this back to the start, just come in here and type start. Hit save. There you go. Let me add some comment here. Okay, so this is for end, and this is for center, and this is for RD. Hit save. Let me remove this extra line. Alright, please let me turn off our DevTools. Alright, so if you want to distribute this remaining space around or between these columns, you can do that just by, let's have distribution of remaining space, and let's copy these lines of code and paste that in here. Hit save and see what we have. And now to distribute the remaining space between these columns, what you can do is just come in here and type in here justify content between. Hit save, and that distributes the remaining space between the columns. Or you can have let's make a duplicate. Hit save. You can also have these spaces distributed evenly. Hit save. Or you can also make use of let's make a copy and type in here save, and one more option that you can use, which is AROUND, around. Hit save. So let's add some paragraph here as well. So distribution here, here, and here. I'm going to have paragraph, say paragraph with the class h3, and let's type in here between. Hit enter. Sorry, cut that, and within curly braces. Hit save. Sorry, and hit enter. Alright, so let's make this between. This would be evenly, and this would be around. Hit save. Alright, so we have some let's also add in here text center. These are all the utility classes that we'll discuss in detail in our utility classes episode. Alright, so we have some more understanding what's going on here, and let's correct the indentation. That looks perfect, and let's get back in there. Hit enter. Alright, now that is perfect. Alright, now after that, now we'll discuss that how you can align your columns vertically. And for that, let's add some heading here, vertical alignment. Hit save, and let's scroll it down. All right, and then I am going to have let's copy these guys from here, or say I'll also have this paragraph, copy and paste in here. All right, vertical alignment, and let's call this I'll get back here in a while. All right, so let's remove this justify content around for now. Hit save, and for the demonstration right now we don't have any height here, so for the elements to be vertically aligned we must have some height. So let's add a class here, say vert exmpl 1. Save, and let's copy that and go to main.scss and paste our vert example 1 here, and let's type in here some styling, say height 20 rem, and background color to be say hash b2b 2e8, and let's select all of the columns of this class -2 and define some styling for these columns. Say height would be, let me show you why did I add this dot call here. Let's hit save and see what we have. All right, so that adds some height here, but that also stretches our columns. To fix this, we can select all of the columns and give the height to our columns as well for 4 rands. Say hit save, and all right, now let's come in here and make our content say column and add the numbers here, say 2, this would be 3. Hit save. All right, now we have some height with the columns. If you want to align these columns vertically, what you can do is you can always choose from 3 options, say and, start, or center. But for this to work, you will need a class align dash items dash say and. Hit save, and that sends your columns to the end. Let's make this and. All right, and now I am going to make a copy of these columns a couple of times. All right, now let's make this second instance. Say if you want to, let's comment out this one. All right, for now. Okay, to send your content to the center, just come in here and type center. Hit save, and let's come in here and uncomment our third box. And if you want to send your items back to the start, you can come in here, then type in here start. Hit save, and that sends your items to the start. All right, let's make a copy of these lines and type in here, say align self. Hit save, and let me show you what I mean by that. Say let's make this not start, align center. Hit save. Now say if you want to send this first column to the start, what you can do is just come in here and type in here align dash self at column level to the start. Hit save, and that sends your first column to the start. And if you want to send this third column to the end, just come in here. Let's copy this code from here and paste in here, and let's change this to the end. Hit save, and that sends your third column to the end. That's how you can align each column individually. Now let's talk about column wrapping. Say if you have columns within a single row that add up to more than 12 columns, each group of extra columns will as one unit wrap onto a new line. Let me give an example. And let's come in here and type in here some heading, column wrapping. Hit save. I use Alt Tab a lot to switch between windows. Alright, and so let's have let's copy. No, I'm not gonna copy. Let's add some columns here. Say row, and inside row let's also have some margin bottoms, and inside row let's have columns, couple of columns. Say dot col dash 4 maybe. Let's have 3 copies. Alright, and let's also add some content. Say column dash dollar. Alrighto, let's come in here and add bracket, angle. Alright, that exactly gives us what we want, and let's have 2 copies, one for you, one for me, and type in here. Alright, hit save. So now we have 3 columns. So say right now I am going to remove these numbers. Now say if you don't have any numbered classes followed by columns, so the columns share the equal width. And say if you add here numbered classes, as I am adding here now, let's make this 4 and this one to say they still all of these columns will still share the equal width. So if you make this second column as wide as 6 columns and this third column as wide as 9, now see what happens. Hit save, and your third column shift to the next row just because of column wrapping, because these 2 columns equals to 10, and if you add this column as well, so that will be more than 12 columns. That's why your third column shift to the next row. This is column wrapping, and let's talk about column break. Let's make a copy of these lines of code, and let's type in here column wrapping, and I am going to have, alright, so column wrapping. So let's type in here column break. Alright, and let's come in here and make some changes. Let's remove it. Hit save. So this is what we have right now. Say if you want to send these 2 columns to the next row, just come in here and type in here a class w followed by 100, enter, hit save, and that sends rest of the columns to the next line. And you can also reorder your columns. Say reordering, let's have a heading, hit save, and I am also going to copy. I don't think we need these lines. Let's copy these lines and paste in here. I don't need this line of code as well. Let's remove it and hit save, and say now if you want to send this third column to the first position and this first column to the third position, what you can do is just come in here and type in here order, type in here 3, and that can go to the first position. This one can stay at the second position. Hit save. Now if you notice that our third column is positioned at first position and our first column is positioned at third position. And you can also make use of responsive classes. Say if you want this layout only for specific screen size, what you can do is just come in here and make a duplicate. Alright, and let's get this all the way up and come in here and type in here responsive. So what I'm gonna do is let's remove it, hit save, and we have these columns, and type in here, say if you want this order only for medium and larger devices, what you can do is just come in here and add a responsive class, say MD, hit save, and let's turn on our DEVTOOLS. And for smaller screen sizes, we have the default positioning of all of these 3 columns, whereas for medium and larger devices, this is the layout we have. Alright, and now let's talk about if you want to, you can also, let's make a duplicate and let's type in here offset columns, and let's remove it. See, this is what we have right now, and what I'm gonna do is let's add say if you want to offset your columns, what you can do is just come in here and type in here offset followed by number, and number can be between 1 to 11, and these numbers actually represents the template columns we have here in each row. So you can choose from 1 to 11. Let's type in here 1 and see what we have. So let's make this say 5, and that can be 9. Let's save, or let's make this 4. Alright, and for better demonstration, I'm gonna add some margin at the bottom. Save. Alright, so if you want this layout for specific screen sizes, say for medium or larger screen sizes, what you can do, just come in here and make use of responsive classes. Let's add in here, hit save, and offset columns. I'm gonna make this responsive offset columns. Alright, and let's come in here and type in here MD followed by hyphen, hit save, and now if I turn our device mode, so for smaller screen sizes, this is the layout we'll have, and for medium and larger screen sizes, this is the layout that we'll have. And that was all about Bootstrap setup and layout. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.